Good morning. Good morning. Are we ready to get started? We still have some seats up front. And you're not a bit more listening to me than... But what's new? Okay, if we can all kind of gather and love doing our hugs and just roll around, because you know the sooner we get started, the sooner we get out. So, welcome. Thank you for being here this morning to kick off another great year. And yes, it's going to be a great semester, and it's going to be a great year. I look forward to the excitement of fall semester. I always know when I don't sleep a wink that it's the first day for me, okay? I consider this the first day of classes. Next Tuesday night, there'll be a bunch of you all that won't sleep, but I will be sleeping. We're trying something a little different this year. You know, we used to always have this meeting in Rooker Auditorium. And so then when pandemic hit, we shifted over here, and we had just chairs, and people said, oh, I like N117, but those chairs aren't comfortable. Well, we can't put theater-style chairs over here and move this place around, so now we thought, well, we'll give you tables, and maybe you can rest your things on tables, so we'll see, and then next year we'll try something else. But anyway. I extend a special welcome to our new employees or those who have some new roles here. We'll do some introductions later. And also thanks to all who have helped with today's program and today's setup. Facility services for the setup. Also for all the beautiful grounds and all the work. There's been a ton of work, as they always do. A ton of work going on this summer, so I hope you will notice some improvements around campus. They've certainly been working hard. Our media services and IT for technology, presentation support. Lynn Taylor and her crew for food and refreshments this morning. Peter Anderson for the program. Kathy Ridpath, arrangements. Where is Kathy? She's already back there. Arrangements, yes, we will have lunch, and that was another reason for the tables. You can get your lunch and you can come back to the tables and eat if you want, or take it, whatever. And yes, we're trying something new with lunch today. We're going with a different, a little different twist, or a different caterer, I guess. We found a new source. So if you don't like it, don't tell us. To Melissa and the HR team for the Employee Service Awards we're going to have. And of course, a big thank you to all of you for being here, whether you're here face-to-face in person or whether you're joining us through live stream. I'd also like to welcome a very special guest, Bill Cunningham, if you will stand, please. Mr. Cunningham, we call him Bill, and I think he's comfortable with that. He's chair of our local college board, and I have never known a more supportive college board chair than what we have in Bill Cunningham. Anytime we call on him, he is there to help us, and he's made trips to Richmond for us. He goes to meetings for us. So thank you, Bill, for joining your family this morning. To those who are new, whether it's to a new role or to just new to the organization, I think you're going to love it here. We work hard here, and you will work hard here. We'll make sure you work hard here. But I hope you find it a very supportive environment, and that's what we tell our students too. When I go, and I love going to the orientation sessions, and I tell them, you better work hard. I expect your professors to work you hard, but you're going to find a very supportive environment here. So I hope you will enjoy. If you need something, let us know. And that's what I tell students. We don't know if you need something. You have to let us know. I also say a special thank you, especially to those who are in their offices today. We still have full service for students going on today, and that's what we do. We're here to serve our students, so thank you. So I'd really like to get to the heart of my message this morning, or the heart of my thoughts. I'm going to update you in a bit on a number of topics like I do every year, but my main message to you today, thank you for providing a culture of care and a we can attitude on this campus for our students and for each other. I'll say that again. Thank you for providing a culture of care and a we can attitude on this campus for our students and for each other. That's it. That's my message. And I should probably just sit down and end it. But you know me, and I'm not going to do that. So please allow me to elaborate. I have known this would be my message to you since April 5, a very specific day. On that day, I knew exactly what I was going to say today. Now, why that date? Well, because on that date, your culture of care and your we can attitude exploded on this campus through your students. We've heard that term used, we've seen it often in literature for student success and student retention, especially in terms of student services. And you folks have done a lot of work through these years to create this experience. Think about your excellent classroom experiences that you have provided for students. Think of the food pantry. Think of the loaner laptop program. Think of our scholarships. And think about the awesome summer orientation programs that you provide for incoming students. We've made structural and organizational changes. Think about the welcome centers in Godby Hall, Rooker Hall. Check out the new furniture we have today. You'll see it in the hallways, and new classroom desks in some of the classrooms in Godby. Why did we do that? Because it was the right thing to do. Not because some literature or some research study told us to do that. You have done that because of who you are and what you do. Now, back to April 5. What does April 5 have to do with this culture of care and we can attitude? If you remember back, April 5 was the day our new chancellor, Dr. David DeRay, came to campus. Now, a small group of us, we began the morning with a small group of administrators and students. And I learned, it was the first time I'd met him. Well, I'd met him, but first time I'd talked to him. And I learned what he was really interested in was the student experience. And we had students with us that morning. Bill came and joined us, and he was most interested in talking to those students. Next was our meeting in Rooker Auditorium, and you came and you heard him express his thoughts. And then from there, we went to the library for a session specifically with students. Now, I remember thinking, when I first got the agenda of the kinds of meetings he wanted, how are we ever going to get students here at 9 o'clock in the morning to talk with the chancellor? Well, very simply, you did it. We just looked at who was teaching classes at that time and just asked you to send us a couple students, and you did it. They came to the library, and it was a good group, probably a Dee Dee, do you remember, maybe about 20, 25, 30 students, and Sandy let them gather in the back of the library. And with those students, we had quite a range of students, quite a range of student experiences. Now, Deborah Kennedy, as Dean of Student Services, facilitated the start of the session and introduced the Chancellor to the students. I was not part of that session. Well, within earshot, but we didn't participate. Chancellor DeRay began with a few remarks to the students, and then he fielded some general questions to them. And as I listened to the comments from the students, I was amazed and I was humbled. Students spoke so positively of you and of your support and care for them. They spoke of your influence on them. And some of you, they named you by name. And I was going, huh? That one? No, not really. You would have been so proud if you could have sat in there that morning and heard what those students were saying. Now, we left there. If you remember, we visited classrooms and labs, and once again, Dr. DeRay zoned in on the students, asking students, about their experiences, or you show me what you're doing. I know he was doing something down in the machining lab, and in the biology lab, was really honing in on the student experiences. And again, they shared of what you were doing to move them through their programs and their pathways. And that's when it hit me. You have created and are nurturing a culture of care and a we can attitude on this campus. It comes as a natural outgrowth of who you are and your belief and your commitment to our mission to give everyone an opportunity to learn and develop the right skills so lives and communities are strengthened. Again, I say thank you for creating that culture of care and that we can attitude on this campus for our students and for each other. But let me also say, data bear that out. It's not just some touchy-feely part of Pat Huber here. The data bear that out as well. This year's graduate survey, these are the surveys that students turn in as they submit their application for graduation. The overall evaluation for NRCC, 4.48 out of 5. 99.7% of the graduates indicated they had achieved their goal for attending New River Community College. So, how have you gone about building that culture? How have you gone about sharing a we can attitude? And it's simple. Just being who you are and what you do. Also, by the expectations that you set as students come to our campus and even before they come to our campus. And it starts with our natural outreach in our communities, like your representation of the college through what you do in your own communities. A simple act of wearing your New River shirt with your New River logo speaks loudly in your communities. And then you add special events like displays, tents at athletic events, turtles games, the New River Valley Fair. You know, I was out at the fair one evening and, visited our booth and all that, and then I was walking out through the fair and just talking to people. I loved seeing people wearing these bucket hats. I don't know if you've seen those. I still don't have one, hint, hint. But seeing people, and I walked up to this, he was an older gentleman. I didn't know him. I said, "Oh, nice hat. And he said, "Yeah, ma'am, I got it inside that building over there. They've got a booth, and they are the nicest people over there." And I said, "Well, I'm going to go check that out." But that's how you build. That's how you have built this culture of care. This awareness continues with our relationships with our public schools, career coaches, on-site advising, the road shows, early registrations, FAFSA workshops, busy. All of those things that are a natural outgrowth of what you do. And it continues as students come to campus for their summer orientation sessions. Once again, a strong message to students is that they are welcome here, that they belong here. Even the very bureaucratic expectations that the college is required to share with students, these are delivered in a caring, supportive, and sensitive manner. So I thought it would be helpful for you to be informed of some of these bureaucratic messages that we are required to relay to students and that are relayed during orientation sessions. So I've asked Deborah Kennedy, the epitome of caring and accountability, to share those messages with you this morning, and then I'm coming back. I'm not finished, so don't get your hopes up.
Let me get this thing turned on here. Okay, you go ahead and go the first one. Thank you, Pat.
Sorry about that. That's all right. Hey, first day of class.
Yeah, the next one. Let me try it. There we go. All right, there we go. Okay. Well, and I really, Pat has shared the culture of care that we all embody and exemplify, but it is her leadership and example that we follow. She has been, I think, all but one orientation session, and she has been in there welcoming our students every day, and we tell them that you're going to see her in the halls, and she says, "I'm going to see you in the hall, and I'm going to ask you how you're doing." But it starts with our senior leadership, our college board. We just thank you for all of that. But what we've been doing this summer we have had 9 orientation sessions so far, I believe, and we have added a 10th tomorrow to capture some stragglers. But our message has been, no matter from where they've come, no matter what their journey has been, no matter what has led them to New River Community College, this is where they belong. You'll see that's our theme of orientation. We're wearing it on our shirts, where you belong. And we also intentionally put on the back of our shirts, ask me. Now, don't wear it in Walmart and go shopping because people... You'll have to tell them where the mayonnaise is. I'm just saying that now. But we are trying to build that culture to where they are comfortable to come and ask us anything. So we're starting with this is their journey, but we know this is where they belong. We then go, and as Pat talked about, we share with students our mission. We let them know that we're one of 23 community colleges that make up the Virginia Community College system. We say you're going to hear VCCS a lot. It's part of your email. So they kind of have an understanding. I mean, they see us as New River. They don't see us as part of a bigger conglomerate. But we try to help them understand how we fit in within the Commonwealth. And then we let them know that our mission is for them to come and learn. That is what we're focusing on. We want everyone to have that opportunity. It doesn't matter what may have happened in high school. It doesn't matter if you've tried college elsewhere. It doesn't matter what's led you here. This is your opportunity, and we are here to support you no matter what circumstances, what life happenings have gone on, that we are here to support them. We talk about how we support and we empower students, and that we believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. It doesn't matter, as we keep talking about, who they represent, whomever they are, this is a welcoming place. We talk about the culture here at New River. And Pat uses the example of having sat in orientation at Whitfield Community College. I use the example of having sat in orientation at New River Community College. And when you take the 2 years I was a student, plus the years that I've worked here, I've been here over half my life. And I tell students, this is where I want to be. I feel like this is where I belong. And I said, I figured that out when I was a student, and that we want them to have that same feeling. So we talk about that we're committed to their individualities. We're committed to supporting them from whatever walk of life that they come. We also talk about the student conduct expectations. This is a small excerpt from the student handbook. And, we talk about demonstrating a positive attitude toward learning. Well, the fact that they have come to orientation, that's a pretty positive attitude. On a Saturday morning at 9 a.m., that's a real positive attitude. So we talk about that. We talk about maintaining good attendance. Once they leave our opening session, they go through 3 specialized sessions where they hear at College 101, advising all student success. They hear about the attendance policy. So faculty, when they come into your classes, they know. Don't let them tell you they don't know. They know. So we enforce that. We also make sure they're aware that faculty, you're their first line of defense. You are you are the ones that are going to know more than anybody how they're doing, and that for them to have open and honest conversations with you. We talk about reporting to class on time and projecting a positive image and just demonstrating respect for not only themselves but for others. And we talk about how we're going to be respectful of them. We understand them, we want them to feel welcome, and that we are going to have civility and respect. That's part of what's embedded into the culture of CARE and our campus. We also use that as a segue to talk about the expressive activity policy. So we want students to know we're not here to change their belief system. We're not here to change their feelings. We are here, our main goal is to teach. Their main role is to learn. We want them to think strategically. We want them to think smarter. We want to expand their knowledge base, but it's not for us to change their personal beliefs. We know that we're not all going to agree. Not all of us in this room agree on things, but that's okay. We can respect what makes us different. We can respect others' ideals and beliefs, and just have that common care and concern for one another. And then we have to go into a little bit of the heavy stuff. And so we want them to know about Title IX and our sexual harassment policy. This information is available on our website. It's in our student handbook. I will send within the first couple weeks of the semester, once enrollments have stabilized, I will be sending a specific email to all students that has the sexual harassment policy embedded into it and who they contact. But we want them to get an understanding of this from the get-go, that sexual harassment is an umbrella term that covers discrimination, harassment, assault, exploitation, violence, and stalking, and that we're going to investigate. We're going to look into any alleged offense of this. And we also let them know that it is you are prohibited from retaliating against someone who has made an allegation. We talk about that. We also want them to know who they report to. So here in Dublin, I'm the primary reporter for students. In Christiansburg, it's John Bowler. Now, that being said, we have told students they may not always find me. They may not always find John, depending upon what. They can go to their faculty, they can go to their student services advisor, they can find an administrator, and they can share this information, and they are going to get that to us. So we want students to know how to get to us and where to find us. We talk about FERPA. Inevitably, faculty, you're going to have a parent call you this semester. They're going to email you and ask, how is my son or daughter doing? Okay, so that's going to happen. And we have had a few parents come to orientation. This is really more for the parents that come to orientation than it is the students, but we really let them know, we let students know, we can't share your information. We cannot talk about your academics. We cannot talk about your financial aid. We're not going to, but if you want us to, then you've got to sign a statement giving us permission to do so. So we go over that with them. That doesn't mean you're still not going to get calls and emails from parents or spouses or others, but we make sure that the students are aware of that. And then we talk for just a moment about campus safety. We make sure they're aware of how to contact our security officers here in Dublin or at the Christiansburg site. We make note of the emergency call boxes in our parking lots here in Dublin. And then we also really express the need to sign up for the NRCC alert. Now, we let them know that is our emergency communication. We don't use that for anything other than emergency, but I do make sure I let them know that my favorite text is 6 a.m. and it's a snow day. So we do say that. So if nothing else gets them, if they think they might get a text letting them know that classes are canceled or it's delayed. You know, there was one morning, it was 6 a.m. on the dot and my phone dinged. And I was so excited and I thought, yay. And I looked, it was Bridget Minigini. To which when I got to work later that day, I said, do not text me at 6 a.m. And she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, no, Bridget, 6 a.m. is reserved for the text from the college saying we don't have to go in. So, but anyway, so we let students know about that, and then we just thank them. We thank them for being here. We want them to know that we are here for them, no matter what questions they have, big or small, the questions they don't even know that they have yet. I even say, go by and see Pat. She's got chocolate in her office. You know, we invite them to come in. That's what we're trying to do, is really make sure that they feel comfortable. They come into orientation with a little bit of trepidation, but by the time they leave, they've got a student ID, they've got information, they're a little bit relieved, but they feel more comfortable. And so you'll see us walking around you'll see me in this tomorrow, because I got an orientation tomorrow, open house Saturday, so anybody wants to come to open house Saturday here or Monday. And then I'm asking student services folks to wear these shirts specifically Wednesday and Thursday as we welcome students back to campus. So we're trying to make sure they know to come and ask for help. So thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to share some of this, but more importantly for your support for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Speaking of 6 a.m. Phone calls, this morning at 6:10 a.m., my phone rang, and I went, oh, no, that's Peter Anderson, and we have a power outage. Well, no, my husband had his cell phone in his pocket, and he accidentally it hit something and it dialed me, and when it said Peter Huber and not Peter Anderson, I went, yes! I just knew we had a power outage. But thank all of you. Thanks, Dee Dee, and everybody in Student Services who has worked so hard this summer with summer orientation programs. They've been phenomenal, and for making our students feel that they belong here. And speaking of this sense of belonging, you saw Dee Dee's T-shirt that she's wearing today. Several folks have been wearing them, walking around campus. That's what I call the summer orientation uniform. Well, thanks to the Educational Foundation, Angie Covey, we have those T-shirts available for you as well. So as you leave today, all right. As you leave today, stop by the table back in front of the AV or Media Services, and they're organized by size. Pick up a shirt, and if you're watching by way of video stream, you can just email Kathy your size, and she'll send one to you. Send it over to the Christiansburg site, or you can stop by Kathy or Angie's office, the foundation office, and pick a shirt up. And I encourage you, if you wish, not forcing you by any means, but we would love to have you wear your shirt next Wednesday, first day of classes, to welcome students to New River. Now, when I go into orientation sessions, they put a big sign on the back of mine, and at the top it says, "Don't ask me." They don't want students asking me anything. And by the way, as I was thinking last night, did you realize, do you know even, again, this is all how things happen naturally, or do you remember 5 years ago when we went through our SACS COC reaffirmation and we developed a QEP, Quality Enhancement Plan, where you belong? That was the theme of that. That came out of SACS COC accreditation, a bureaucratic process that we had to go through. That was an outgrowth of our strategic planning that we do in January, everything. Those are the bureaucratic hurdles, so to speak, that we have to jump, but you do it naturally. So Mark Rao, I hope you're documenting that for our fifth-year report that you're working on right now. And speaking of Mark Rao, I want to start with workforce. That's the heart of my message, but now I want to move into several updates. And I want to start with workforce development, and I'm not giving Mark Rao's report. I just want to emphasize to you a point that you've heard me say before, and I just want to make sure that in your heart and in your soul and in your brain, you know this. You hear the term workforce development referenced often. It's the buzzword. It's the buzzword in newspapers. It's the buzzword in media. It's the buzzword in the political arena. You read almost every day, or you hear, the number of unfilled jobs in Virginia and the call for institutions, particularly community colleges, to step up to meet employer demands. Fritz pulled some data for me this week to give you a reference for our service region. The total one-year forecast demand for occupations in our service region is 8,828, almost 10,000. Multiply that across 23 service regions, and you can see where these numbers and predictions come from. 200,000, 300,000 need for these jobs. And while the emphasis appears to be on filling jobs, I want to assure you, yet again, that everything we do is about workforce development. Whether it's the short-term training options that we hear a lot about in the referencing Fast Forward, or whether it's on to degree completions. whether it's teaching a welding course or teaching an English course, please do not think we are de-emphasizing any level of education for the purposes of training. We are an educational institution. Training folds in as part of that education, and we're about educating the entire workforce. But at the same time, please remember the political climate now, and New River, we will certainly play our role in addressing workforce needs. Indeed, next week, Mark Rao and I will attend a regional town hall meeting with State Senator Travis Hackworth. He has specifically requested attendance by the 5 Southwest Community College presidents and their workforce development officers. Now that's next week. Last week, some of us attended the state and local board retreat and the Chancellor's annual planning retreat, at which time Dr. Doré outlined his priorities and goals for the year. I appreciate, again, Bill Cunningham representing our local board at that event, and Megan Doney, who attended as the college's CFAC representative. On your tables, you see some handouts describing those strategic priorities. No, I'm not going to read them, but I know that you have all kinds of free time right now. But I do ask you, please, to review those priorities, as we will use them to set the college institutional priorities for this year. Normally, this process occurs in June, and I present to you what these priorities are. But in the transition with a new chancellor, that's been delayed. These strategic priorities, and these are the ones that have been set by the system, will be a heavy component of the legislative agenda this year and for the upcoming budget cycle and the General Assembly session. So you'll be hearing more about that. I mentioned the Chancellor's Planning Retreat last week, but it was special for New River for another reason. Angie Covey received the Distinguished Service Award for the Institutional Advancement Officer in the entire VCCS. Stand up, Angie. Where are you? It was a pretty special evening. Now, let me see, in that picture to the right of Angie, that's Mr. Ben Davenport. He is the chair of the Virginia Foundation for Community College Education. And in the picture to the left of Angie is Dr. Jennifer Gentry. She's the executive director of the Virginia Foundation of for Community College. But part of what was so special about Angie receiving this honor was it came as a surprise to her. She did not know she had even been nominated. And once again, I say thank you to a very special it was called Covert Operation Angie. That's what it was termed, and that's what the VCCS termed it after. But thanks to a great New River team who pulled together an awesome application packet and submitted it on behalf of the college. So congratulations, Angie. All right, you know what's coming next. Let's move on and talk about enrollment for a little bit. Pretty critical topic for us. Yes, you knew it was coming. Same chart I show you. I'm going to show you it, with some updated data. But before we show you the chart, let me emphasize again, and to emphasize to those who are new employees, why the discussion of enrollment is so important. You tell me, why is enrollment so important? Funding, exactly. That's how we get our money. That's how we get our budget. And so that's why it's so important. But enrollment is measured in two ways. Head count, and that's the number of individual students who are on our campus, and FTEs. Now, the head count, that's what the media picks up on. When a reporter calls our advancement office, they want to know how many students. Well, that's head count, okay? What we focus on, or at least in the financial piece, are the FTEs, and that's the full-time equivalent. If you take the number of total credits and divide by, for a semester, 15, or a year by 30, you get what would be the actual number of, if all of those credits were full-time students, how many full-time students you would generate. And our funding is based on the full number of full-time students generated, or FTEs. So now let's look at some numbers, starting with FTE. Our FTE for look down in the bottom right-hand corner, for 22-23 was essentially flat, 2,386. That's what we had last year, and I was ecstatic. I was doing a happy dance. And why? Because look, for how long we have been dropping. More than 10 years. We thought we were flattening out up there about 2015, 2016, 17, 18. We started declining at after the recession in 2008, and then COVID hit, and we really went down. Now, so I was thrilled that we were flat, okay? Now, while I certainly celebrate being flat, and I celebrate you for generating these students, I remind us, though, that's still a 28% decline from the high point in 2011 and 2012, when we had 3,355 full-time students. A 28% decline, almost 1,000 full-time students that we've lost in that period. So now let's look at head count. Again, it's more good news, because look what's happening in the head count. We are going up. We went up last year in head count. First time in over 10 years. Now, simply put, these two charts, what they're really showing us is we're serving more students, but they're taking fewer credits. We have more part-time students than full-time students, and I'm going to give you some numbers in a minute. For 2022, 2023, of all the students enrolled, 74% were part-time. Now, you say, oh, well, we got tons of dual enrollment students. Yes, we do. So Fritz pulled out. When you take out those dual enrollment students, when you remove dual enrolled students, the head count is still 69% part-time. And even though we're pointing up in head count, and that's the way we want to go, we're still it's still a 28% decline from our high point when we had 8,073 students, 8,000 different bodies. This increase in head count and the flat line for FTE, though, that's very significant for us, given the demographics of our state and of our region. Regions, if you've been reading, are facing declining populations that will have shrinking pools of high school graduates. Indeed, I read a report this summer from Chev, it's predicting that 2026 will be that pivot year when we will see the real drop-off, the decline. And the prediction for Virginia is a 7% decline in high school graduates. By way of comparison, West Virginia is facing a prediction of a 20% decline in high school graduates. And we know, living in a rural area, we know that. At the same time that that's happening, that these demographic shifts, we're also seeing four-year colleges and universities, except the most selective, they're lowering their GPA requirements and other admission standards. It's what some call the Hunger Games of higher education. So that's where our college's recruitment and marketing team have really stepped up. This is a group from academics, from student services, from marketing, and they meet every couple of months. Is that right, Peter and Mark? And they have been following this data, and they look at this data. Where are our gaps as a college? And not surprisingly, the college's greatest decline in enrollment has been in what we would call the older adult population. Now, when I say older adult, I don't mean like Mark Grau and me. I mean like those who are over 22 years old, older than the typical college age group of 18 to 22. That's where we're seeing the greatest decline in enrollment. We continue to see a robust enrollment from recent high school graduates. Each year we have, I think, Dee Dee, about 28% of recent high school graduates in the New River Valley come to NRCC either the summer or fall semester. And that is we have one of the highest, about the highest rate in the VCCS. Okay, that's good, you know, and we're thankful because we've got ACE, you know, that's helping to promote that. We are certainly higher than the national average. The national average is 19%, okay? So we're doing really well, and thanks to ACE and our career coaches and our road shows and all of that work you're doing, we're doing really well with that high school population. But remember what I said, in about 2 more years, we're going to see a significant decline, or that's what's predicted in that high school population. So, back to this shrinking older adult population. As the recruitment and marketing team analyzed this data, they saw this is a strong target for us. This is a population we need to be targeting. Back to school. And many of them may already have some college credit. This is what Chancellor DeRay calls the working learner and the learning worker, because we already know 69% of our students are part-time, so they're working and learning. So given that analysis, our external relations, our marketing team, they've released a new advertisement. I don't know if you've seen it. It released, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, Kelly Jill? I don't know. Anyway, it's out there with this target audience of the adult population. I thought you might like to see it, so let's view it now. Let's hope the technology works.
It's never too late for what's next. If you're ready to return, retrain, or restart, New River Community College is here for you. Need credits to complete your degree? Looking for a new career? This is your path. Want to expand your skills or get ahead in the workplace? This is your place. Are the kids off at school and you've got an empty nest? Or are you ready to learn something new? This is your time. New River Community College. Your path, your place, your time.
That's us. Thank you all. I want to move on now just to a few more updates. The first being Southwest Virginia Governor's School. Did you notice some buses in parking lots? Southwest Virginia Governor School is here. They are on our campus. They are having classes today. We welcome faculty and staff August 3rd, and the students began August 4th. Now, you have a map here, and this kind of generally shows the classrooms and labs that we are sharing with the Southwest Virginia Governor School. Those green crazy outlines, those are classrooms generally where they'll be teaching their classes. They're in there now. And the purple lines are the office areas that have been designated for the Southwest Virginia Governor School. They arrive, their classes start about 7 a.m. By about 11 a.m., those students are gone. And we know that's about the time our students start coming. But we're excited about this new adventure. I encourage you to, and everyone to, again, make them feel welcome. They belong here, and their faculty. These are our students and faculty. And many people have worked hard, many departments have worked hard this summer to ensure a smooth transition, and I say thank you to all of those who have worked, especially to Sarah Talbert-Hurst, who has served as our liaison with the Governor's School. So thank you. This next update is to inform you of the realignment of some of the areas of responsibility as a result of the retirement of John Van Hemer, which will be effective September 1. You know, John was VP of Finance, Technology, Facility Services. Well, effective August 1, those duties, those categories, protocol, whatever you want to call it, have been separated. We can't replace John with one person, you know. So those have been divided into two areas. Melissa Anderson. Melissa, will you stand? Melissa is the interim vice president for finance and administrative services. And you see on the left, she has responsibility for business and financial operations. That's the budget. We don't have a budget yet. We have money. But we haven't outlined the budget because there's still, as you are aware, the General Assembly still has not approved budget amendments. So as far as I guess we can say your operating budgets, you've got your operating budgets, okay? We just haven't, it's a complicated process, just trust me. Anyway, business and financial operations, human resources. Melissa is also the Title IX officer for employees, okay? Dee Dee and John Bowler, Title IX for students. Melissa, Title IX for employees. And emergency planning, okay? That's the mandatory reporting that we're required to do. Melissa's now located in John's former office, Godby 22. Now, Tim, will you stand, please? Tim Jones, Director of IT and Facility Services, and you can see his responsibilities: IT, facilities, security, and emergency response. In other words, this is the action piece of responding to emergencies or potential emergencies. And Tim said he had too much stuff in his office to move, and he was going to stay where he was in Martin 224A. So welcome to both of you. Thank you for taking on this leadership. And speaking of John's retirement, now that the topic of retirement has come up, please mark your calendars for Thursday, August 31 at 1 p.m., right, Kathy? We're still going with that? Okay. Thursday, August 31 at 1 p.m. here in Edwards 117, we'll honor John Van Hemert for his 45 years of incredible service to NRCC. Now, you're going to receive a calendar invite, but go on and put that date in your mind. And speaking of retirements, Ray Wurzberger, will you please stand? This is so I can throw things at you. Ray will retire effective January 1, 2024, after what will at that time be 36 years. He's going to get his 35-year service award today, but by January 1, he'll have 36 years of service. And we'll certainly celebrate Ray later in the semester, closer to his retirement. In the meantime, a big thank you to both John and Ray. Thank you. And as I always do, I want to make a quick note here about emergency drills. First of all, faculty, please remember to cover fire escape routes, emergency routes with your classes as the first week of classes as you meet. These routes are posted in your classrooms, and as you go over those course plans with your students, please include the emergency exit. We'll continue with emergency drills this year, starting this past Tuesday. We had the first in this year with an emergency PA system. We'll probably be following up pretty soon or in the next bit with probably a return to an emergency exit drill, a fire drill. I continue to appreciate the work of the emergency planning team chaired by Tammy Smith and Ross Matney in coordinating and documenting the drills and in submitting the required reports. And that is no small task. I think there are 3-4 reports, mandatory reports every year. So thank you all, and to the entire teams and to all of you for supporting them. So now, I think I've covered about everything, except I want to conclude by saying again the opening statement that I made. Thank you for creating a culture of care and a we can attitude on this campus for our students and for each other. I appreciate you much. I wish you a great year ahead, and I think it's time for a break. So let's take about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Don't escape. We're not finished. Thank y'all.
here too. I think it's about that time. If you can start getting back to your seats, please. Welcome to the new academic year. And before we get into the introduction of new employees, and we all know how humble she is, we need to thank her again. As I even heard, I think Ray Wurtzberger even mentioned, we didn't even thank her properly. Let's again thank our president for all that she does to lead our institution. Thank you, Pat. I hope each of you had an enjoyable summer and restful summer because, as Pat mentioned, we work hard here. We wear lots of hats. But I enjoyed hearing of all the vacations, weddings, and all the fun stuff you got to do over the summer. As you well know, August 23rd is right around the corner. And I enjoy, faculty know this, and I think they're ready for it. Some faculty, as you're new, one of the first things I ask you is, are you ready for the 23rd? And sometimes I get this deer in headlights look of, oh no, August 23rd. And then sometimes I get, oh yeah, I got it. In the back of their mind, that faculty member is going, oh my gosh, I've got to get all this done. And then a lot of times I get the honest answer, but I will be. The 23rd is right around the corner. I know Pat thanked her, but Lynn's been working on this for a couple of weeks now, and she's in the back of the room. She also has Nancy Dennis helping her here this morning. Please again join me in thanking Lynn Taylor and providing refreshments for us this morning. It's time to meet our new employees that began full or part-time employment on or after August 16, 2022, and that was last year's general session date. Each manager will introduce new employees. You're going to give their name and title, and in the interest of time, we will not be including new employee biographies. Managers, you may choose to share the new employee bios within your units. New employees, your part is, when your name is announced, please stand to be recognized so we can put a face with a name. And I want to be the first to formally introduce you or welcome you to New River Community College. Managers, when I call on you, and again, in the interest of time, please stand. I think you all have microphones. And you will, due to the live streaming, we're going to again trying to make this streamed well of the general session, and we'll have Mark Rao go first.
Just have two new employees. Sandy Williams is an administrative assistant in our department, and she's actually covering the office right now, so you can't see her at the moment. And Amber Slesser-Brilhart is not new to the college, but she's now where she belongs in workforce development, and she's our workforce career coach.
Melissa Anderson.
Good morning. I want to welcome Angie Simpkins. She is our HR benefits specialist to help all employees with benefits. So please stop by and see Angie.
Angie Covey.
And I'm thrilled to introduce Katie Hobbs. And Katie Hobbs is our new position in the Foundation Office of Development and Financial Aid Specialist. And I know we can't do bios, but I'm going to say one thing. She doesn't start until Monday, but she's so excited to be here. She came a couple days early just to be a part of today's celebration. So thank you.
Tim Jones.
I have two employees to introduce and recognize. First of all, Scott Burke. Scott has joined us on Ronnie's facilities team. And also not a new employee to the college, but new into our IT area, specifically in media services, and Nick. So it's Michelle. Thank you all.
Before we get into other managers, it is my honor to introduce to you, there's two new individuals that are on the Vice President for Instruction Student Services staff. The first one is Lori Mitchell as Dean of Business and Technologies. Please stand, Lori. And as we continue to meet the very diverse needs of our healthcare system in our service region, we have a new division and your newest Dean of Health Professions, and I'm trying to find her, see where she is, Helen Wolf. There she is. Sarah Tolbert Hirsch. Lori Mitchell. Helen Wolf. Dee Dee Kennedy.
Gave me a mic, so there we go. Okay, so a couple folks that are not new to the college but new in their roles. Gwen Houston, if you would stand. Gwen is our Student Success Coordinator. And then Stephanie Atticus as our Adult Career Coach and Community Outreach Specialist. And because of their new roles, we got other people to introduce then. So Jack Watkins is our Student Resources Advisor. And I will say, when he started a couple months ago, he had hair. I don't know what's happened, but... And we have Laura Hopkins as our New River to Radford University Bridge Student Success Advisor. That's a long title, but... And then we have with us today Michelle Bryant. Now, she's actually works for Whitfield, but we're claiming her at least one day a week. She's our Collegiate Recovery Specialist, so happy to have Michelle Bryant with us. And last but not least, we were afforded a grant-funded position from Virginia 529 to support non-credit workforce students. That position is actually embedded in student services, working very closely with workforce for us to be able to better support the one-door model of advising and student support. Grace Bocchino started last week in that role.
Linda Clausen.
in the spring when Brooke moved over to Arts and Sciences. So let's welcome Brad. Thank you.
We kind of overlooked one person in those introductions. You may have heard this name before, Debbie Bond. Debbie, as you know, retired, and she has come back. Are you here, Debbie? Yes. There you go. Debbie is helping us right now with the reaccreditation process, and she's going to be working on an update to the history of New River Community College and some other things we haven't told her about yet. So. We do want to keep her. We're really glad to have Debbie back. Pat already mentioned accreditation. That is a bad word, maybe. Those of you who've been here a long time have heard me ramble on about that, and I can go for hours, but you don't want me to. But it's a very, very important process, and I just want to give you a brief update and overview. As you know, it's SAC-COC. We use that. It stands for Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. Some of us just say SACs because that's the way it used to be, but they wanted us in Atlanta, where they run things, they wanted us to distinguish ourselves from the secondary K-12 world, so we're happy to do that. We're happy to do whatever they ask us to do. And what they've asked us to do now is to follow up. The accreditation process works on a 10-year cycle. And every 10 years, it's a big, big deal when these people from colleges around the South come to your campus and they grill you on information that you've taken 2 years to put together, okay? And then when you get reaffirmed after maybe some follow-up, it's really nice because it used to be another 10 years till you had to worry about that. But what happened is colleges got smart and they started kind of clowning around. You know, it's like I got 10 years to kind of coast. And when I say clowning around, I literally mean clowning around. I can sit down now and I'll be happy, okay? What they did when they found out things like that happened, they decided, at the powers that be, that every 5 years you're going to have a big report to show that you're on track. And right now, it's called the 5th year interim report. Right now, we're getting close to finishing that. It's due September 15th. The internal deadline to have everything written so it could then be finished was August 15th. Some of us have been probably rude to you because we were busy in the middle of that, or some of us have been, I've noticed people are not answering my phone calls lately, and I'm not sure why. But it has been a very intensive process, and the timing is bad. You'd think that educators themselves wouldn't have a big deadline in September for any college, but that's the way it works. So at any rate, those of you who are inconvenienced by this in any way, we apologize. Those of you who are helping, we thank you very much. We will send this. We even have to learn a new way to submit information. We're going to submit this through a portal, which is something we've never done before. And some of our peer institutions say that's kind of a landmine. We're not sure how to even do that yet. But once we get past that, what will happen is some people like Pat has done this herself. Around the South will actually, from a distance, review what we've submitted. And then they will make their comments, and we'll probably have some follow-up information to provide. And once we do that, then we can start planning for 2028 for the 10-year, and that will probably be here before we know it. So if you have any questions about this, just let me know. Thanks.
Good morning. Mark, you're not shorter than I am, are you? First, I want to say, especially to Pat, thank you so much for that recognition last week for the award that I so surprisingly received. Bill Cunningham was in on it. There were lots of folks. But I want to say something about what Pat shared this morning about the culture of care. I felt a little embarrassed, I think, to receive that award, to be singled out, because I think this whole college received that award, because I wouldn't be able to do what I do every day if it weren't for the wonderful faculty in the classroom providing such phenomenal experiences for our students, also the faculty who are making recommendations for students to receive scholarships, all of the advising, Dee Dee, her amazing staff, the career coaches in the high schools, all of the staff, the administrators here, because I hear so many times parents, folks out in the community say, I called New River and they were so helpful. They helped me through that process. So I thank all of you for making that award happen for our college, because I think it's deserving to everyone here, so thank you. And with that said, a little update about the foundation. Our assets are right about $25 million now. As I tell Pat every day, that just depends on the market and what's happening. So, 2022 was a little bit tough for us, as it was for most of your annuities and 401s and such. So I know you know what that was like, but we are recovering from that. Since we met last year, we've endowed 16 additional new scholarships, and an endowment of a scholarship is $25,000. And that doesn't count an additional add to our endowment of $2 million that is to be used strictly for scholarships. So that's about $2.5 million by the time you add it all up of contributions that we've received to support scholarships since last year. And of course, when I say endowment, those funds, we can only use the earnings on those funds. That's why the market is so important to us in what we award. For this upcoming fall, it looks like we're going to be able to award around 350 or so scholarships. We're just over 300 with our awards. And what that means is we still have some scholarships to award. We kind of hold that number tight until classes get ready to start, because we have a lot of students that have been offered scholarships and then their plans change. So I never really know what that number is going to look like until the semester gets ready to start. So if you have students that you think are deserving of a scholarship and you want to recommend them to us, please let us know, because we'll be looking for a few more students. The faculty, you've been wonderful at helping us through that process each year. We have still continuing to go strong with ACE. I'm so proud of that program and what we're able to do. So grateful to the career coaches in the high schools every fall and spring, helping us talk to the students, making sure they understand what the expectations are. To date, 1,691 students have benefited from ACE, which is a pretty healthy number. We've raised almost $6 million to support the program, and a little over $1 million of that is actually endowed dollars, which is very, very helpful. This summer, our ACE students contributed a little over 12,000 hours in community service back to our localities, which is a huge, huge benefit. And that's really something that helps us sell the program and helps us raise money when we talk about the service that the young people are giving back to the community. Since we started in 2015, we have had over 190,000 hours given back to the New River Valley, so very significant. And we did one fundraiser 5K this summer. It's Montgomery County. We do a Race for ACE every year, and it's a 5K. We do it at Blacksburg High School. And let me tell you who won that 5K. Amber and Brian Clark's son, Ethan. And how old is Ethan? Landon, I'm sorry. He's 14, and if you want to watch somebody run, they start the whistle, and then it was like 19 minutes later, this kid comes flying across. So he is a phenomenal runner, so we want to congratulate him on that. And I think a couple years ago, for those of you that were here, I shared a story about a bicycle, if you remember that. And it was a young man in Blacksburg. He was walking to his community service every year, and the people rallied around him. They got him a bicycle so that he wouldn't have to make that walk every day. Well, it turns out we've got another bicycle story. And I want to ask Jack Watson, Student Resource Advisor, if he would share our next story about a bicycle.
Thank you all. As Dee mentioned, when I started, I had hair, but that's no one's fault. You know, when I got here, I work in an office with Mark Hanks, and everyone told me to be like Mark, so I really tried. But no, it's been wonderful since I started, and I wish I could say like Dr. Huber that I've been preparing this since April, but truly it's been since yesterday. I've had, been very fortunate to be surrounded by you all, and one thing my father always told me was that good people make a good person, and since I've gotten here, it's been very apparent. There's one student in particular who's been coming in, and I wish I could say it's been easy for him, and if you ever met him, you would think it was. He comes in, and I've never seen a bigger smile. I've never seen someone more polite after walking through the heat 5 or 6 miles a day. But he still comes every day, and he stops by my office, and he's always got questions. He wants to check in about my 2 dogs. He asks if my wife's ready for school. He's gotten to know me as a person. And I wish I could take all the credit for helping him out, but probably the first week I was here, 3 or 4 different people approached me and said, hey, this student's been coming to class through high school, and he's been walking here even through high school. He's continued to come during the summer to prepare for the fall. We really think we need to get him a bike, and then, he stopped coming for a little bit. He started enjoying summer, and then he started coming back, and sure enough, those questions started up immediately. It was people that it would be very easy for them to not care, to not notice, to just let him go about his business and be a student. But you guys didn't just see a student, you saw a person, you saw somebody with potential, you saw somebody with hope, and you saw somebody that was trying to better themselves. And sure enough, the 3 or 4 people grew into 5 or 6. And then the next thing I knew, we're driving to Walmart and we're buying him a bike. He's thrilled. He actually stopped by my office yesterday just to thank me and thank everybody that's looked out for him. And he told me he wants to do work study with me now because, he sees me as the front face, but behind that I know that this couldn't have happened if it weren't for all of you. It does take good people to make a good person. And this student came in with a solid foundation and a big heart, and he wants to get better. But what's truly helped him along the way is everyone that he's met on campus and everyone that's cared. I truly think, that walk to school for him, as tough as it was, I don't think he would have made that walk if it wasn't walking to you all. I don't think he would have made that walk if it wasn't to better himself. And in student resources, those are the type of things we want to capitalize on. And I would love to say that Mark and I can do it by ourselves and that we are going to, but that would just be a bold-faced lie. The truth is it takes teachers that are checking in on kids. It takes faculty members that just say that simple hello, that stop to ask them how they're doing, that get to know them. Because if you guys hadn't talked to him, it would have been very easy not to notice that he was walking every day, that he was maybe just a student that, was coming in a little sweaty. No, I mean, this kid's walking 5, 6 miles. He's putting in the work before he even has to put in the work. And so thanks to you all supporting the foundation and working with Angie and taking your time and your dollars to help better these kids. We're able to work with students, and we're able to take those stories, and I'm sure there will be plenty more, but we're able to take those stories and capitalize on them and make them more than a story. They get to be a person, they get to be a productive member of society, and more importantly, they get to be the best version of themselves. So I just want to thank you all for that. I really hope, in this year to come that we get to continue to help students like that, but like I said, we can't do that without your time and your commitment, and most importantly, your compassion for the students. Thank you.
Okay. And to reiterate on everything that's being said here today is New River employees are an important part of what makes our college what it is. And today we want to recognize some of those employees who have reached the milestone in their service to the college. First, our part-time employees. They provide valuable service to our college, and we have a small gift and a certificate of appreciation. These are presented in 5-year intervals. And our first 5-year recipient is Benjamin Bird. Shane Johnston. Michael Keats. Thomas McGohey. And Kathleen Tolley. And if you notice, I did skip a few names. They had already previously told me they would not be in attendance. So, our next recipient is of a 10-year award, and it's Chip Clark. Next recipient of 15 years, Roy Jones. And 20 years, Kexon Zhang. Okay, next we're going to move on to our full-time employees. Their service time is based on total service with state agencies, whether broken or continuous. However, neither part-time employment does count. The first award is presented at 5-year mark, and that would be Rachel Bessler. Robert Bopp. Sharon Edwards. Ross Matney. And Christopher Murphy. Our 10-year recipient is Julie Gilmore. Uh, 15 years, Ben Campbell. Megan Doney. And Odessa Shoup. 20-year recipients, Brian Clark. Bill Friedel. And our 35-year recipient, and my first professor ever at New River, Ray Wurzberger. And thank you all.
And it's perfect timing, and we hope you like McAllister's. The lunches came a little bit early, so we're being really efficient. Before we do that, we need to thank Kathy Ridpath for coordinating all that. Let's give Kathy a big round of applause. In the back of the room, there's drinks and lunches, and the choices include a regular club sandwich, a grilled chicken club sandwich, or a chef's salad. After you get your lunch, you're welcome to stay here and eat your lunch, or you may take your lunch with you because we know August 23rd is right around the corner. We appreciate each and every one of you for the amazing work you do each and every day. You are New River Community College. Best wishes for a successful academic year. The 2023 general session is now adjourned. Thank you.